was going to text you to go to the Kings game next Friday. However, you can't actually go.
Why not?
It's members only. People, general public can't buy tickets.
Oh, there you go. A nice little Kings to start off this pod. Welcome back rather to Aussies taking over the NBA. It's Thursday night. It's the 4th, start of February. The season's in full swing. There's lots to talk about. That's all in the breakdown above me, just up there. So we'll definitely get through all of that. But as always, like, share, and subscribe. We're on Spotify now. We are on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, SoundCloud, and yeah, we're doing some videos too. I see we released another video. That was good.
Yeah, we did. Good old Rodman. Watching some Rodman. Please
Dennis.
like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we're here to talk mainly, I think, tonight about Joe Ingles and his breaking of that 3-point record.
Yeah.
For the Jazz, for Stockton, breaking John Stockton's record basically for 3 points made. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Philly. Another SOS, like what's going on with Josh Green. A little bit of Rick Carlisle salt.
We'll just have like Rick Carlisle. Just why?
I remember one of them videos with Josh, like, Rick Carlisle, hectic. Every time I see Josh Green like getting yanked off the floor or just not playing, I'm like, Rick Carlisle, fucking hectic. God damn it. And then, yeah, just some of the rest of the Aussies. We'll talk about those guys. We will be back very soon after this pod. Not tonight, but in the next couple of days to do a Boomers wrap-up too. So if you're into the Boomers, we'll definitely give you guys a rundown of their squad, what's been happening, what the squad is, guys who didn't make it, guys who could have made it, guys who want to make it, and all sorts of other things to go with that. So that'll be coming very soon. So make sure you stick around.
We should also start a segment saying, "Where in the world is Jonah Bolden?"
Yeah, that's an odd one. Let's just start now. Let's do what's going on with Jonah Bolden, man?
I think he has been erased from the basketball nether. I really do, because he kind of walked out on the Boomers. So he walked out on Brett Brown. He got pushed out of Philly. And I think Brian Goorjian was just like, well, we don't need you. There's so many other players that are potentially in your position that are playing well, and we don't need that attitude. And you're not in the NBA. Like Thon Maker got a call up. Like, why would you not call up like Jonah Bolden has talent. Talented player, better than Thon in his prime.
And weird, just a weird scenario, especially like the whole, like part of me feels like it didn't work out for him in an ideal manner. Like I'm not saying like the decisions he made, obviously, you know, what is he doing backpacking around the world, you know, good on him for that. But it kind of didn't work out great for him in terms of, you know, he had that big blow up at the end of the Aussie tour, and then Brett Brown froze him out, and then Brett Brown's the Aussie coach, and you're just like, God damn it, I can't get away from this guy. So he leaves that, you know, and then Brett Brown just steps down. Brett Brown's out of here. It's like, sorry guys, can't do this. I've got to find another job. You know what I mean? So the decisions he made, like prior to all of that, have kind of come back to hurt him as well.
Yeah, I think so. And I think obviously he got that 10-day contract with Suns. It wasn't converted into a second 10-day or even a guaranteed for the rest of the season. And, you know, I follow him on Instagram. There's just not been a lot. Maybe we should just reach out to him and see what's going on.
Yeah, get
Maybe
an
that'd
interview.
be good.
Jonah, if you're watching this, come on, Aussie's taking
him.
over the NBA. I'll have to do another artwork to add in another screen, but, you know, it's all right.
It's worth it.
I'm here to do it.
We'll reach out to him in the Twitter realm.
Yeah, all right, sweet. It's on. So yeah, it's a bit of a blast from the past. Jonah Bolden. Hopefully, you know, he can get back into the Aussie fold and get back into the NBA as well, or maybe come down and play for the Sydney Kings.
Well, yeah, that would be also nice. That you'd be very welcome to play for this Kings team. We definitely add a lot to this.
Yeah, that's so a sneaky little slide back to the start of what we were talking about. Slide that back in there. But Joe Ingles, the man, the myth, the Happy Valley Hitman, just phenomenal.
Second NBA record this season for an Aussie. Patty Mills obviously breaking the 6th man off the bench threes, taking over Manu Ginobili for one team, I should say. But Joe Ingles passing John Stockton's record in about 650 less games.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He's been playing so well,
insanely well. After he was like really struggling at the back end of last year and the start of this year.
I think this year's definitely the fact that he's one of those guys that is not overly athletic, and he hasn't had an off season to train. And it just took his body a little bit more time to get into rhythm. But man, some of his runs with Gobert are just It's absurd.
It's the Conley factor in the sense that Conley's now worked out how to play with Gobert. So Joe Ingles doesn't have to step in and like pick up the tab basically the entire time. And we've talked about this a lot on this podcast, is that he is like a teammate who likes to just you're right there. I'll help you out here. Like that's his thing. You know what I mean? On the basketball court, he's not a guy who'll just go, I stand in the corner, you give it to me, I'll shoot. Like he's a guy that if you're struggling, I'll step in and help you, boys. Like you need me here, boys. And we felt like at the back end of last year, he sort of fell into this rut of being stuck in that I'm just kind of helping out, I'm just the third wheel here, boys. What do you need me to do? I'll just stand in the corner, Joe, just relax, mate, we don't need you here. And the Donovan Mitchell show, and Rudy Gobert was kind of struggling with his form, but since Conley's unlocked that 1-5 pick and roll, he's just had a new, like Conley and Gobert have had a new lease of life, and I think it's breathed a whole lot of life into that team in general.
Yeah, that I've always said that this team is literally one injury away from it all falling apart. In saying that, however, Joe Ingles has been shooting the ball ridiculously well after a sluggish start. I think he hit like 6 threes the other night. It was something with 7 threes, I think, for 21 points. Just hit 7 threes. Shooting's out of this world. The Jazz are flying. Although
just the one loss, I think, in the last 11 games.
Yeah, something ridiculous. They look really good. It's just always, for my mind, what happens when one man goes down, because they are a team of pretty injury-prone people, I would say.
Touch wood, nothing happens to them.
Clarkson, yeah.
Gobert and also Clarkson, I'm not 100% of a guy that's just like, what I want in crunch time? Clarkson. You know what I mean? Like, it's like roll the dice. What's Clarkson going to come up? Usually, I'm not going to lay a lot of money down on that.
No, but again, he's kind of like that. Against weaker rotations, he scores the ball pretty effectively, and that's what they kind of are looking for, I suppose, is that, ability if Mitchell and Conley are off the floor, that there's someone there who can just, pick up the mid-range game. I suppose that's exactly what he does. But yeah, man, well done, Joe Ingles. He's still showing his worth, still, carving it up in the NBA. I'd definitely like to see the Jazz make a deep run this year.
Yep.
I wasn't kind of sold on their basketball at the beginning of the season, but I watched a couple of games recently, and man, just they're getting Gobert involved more, which I think is the key to unlocking that team.
And it works to Gobert's strengths now. Like last year, there was a lot of him just out on the perimeter in these spaces where you're just like, Rudy, like, what are you doing there? Like, just stop trying to be a playmaker. Stop trying to get involved and just dive to the rim the entire time. And last year, Conley was really struggling with that. You could tell he couldn't, in the bubble, man, you could tell he was struggling to like make it work with Gobert. He's just like, I don't understand this guy. They've had an off season to work on that, or whatever off season they had. It was a little bit disrupted with all this COVID stuff. But they've come out, and you can tell it's like, Conley's never had to throw lobs, man. He's always had Gasol and Randolph. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so he's never been like, I got a guy who can dive to the floor and I can hit him like anywhere up here and it's a bucket. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's always played with shooters, like a post shooter in Randolph and, 3-point shooter in Marc Gasol, or a post scorer, a Dirk style post scorer.
Yeah, he hadn't had a guy that can literally pick up a ball 4 feet above the rim and, tip it down. But yeah, it's good to see, and it's obviously unlocked where they're big kind of. They've had a pretty easy run, I would say, not like a great. It'd be interesting to see when they play the likes of Brooklyn or Philly or a stronger team. They did lose to the Clippers and Lakers, so they are losing to teams that are a bit stronger, but they seem to be really polishing off those teams with weaker centers. Gobert's definitely dominating this year. It'd be a good matchup to see him against Philly as well as Brooklyn. That DeAndre Jordan, I think he'll hammer DeAndre, but Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, it's a weird mix. Weird.
They actually beat the Clippers. They've lost to Brooklyn. They got smashed by Brooklyn early in January. That was kind of when they were in a low spot, really. And they lost to New York. Then they ripped off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins in 9. And the only other loss was to Denver. And that's also an interesting Jokic Gobert. It's an interesting matchup too for that team.
Jokic is just
He's just phenomenal, out of this world, man. To say, you know, Rudy Gobert's put it together this season, then, you know, one of the guys he's going to have to go through in the West is Jokic. You're just like, damn. Like, and I can't wait if that's a playoff matchup. I'm like, I can't wait for that because Jokic looks so good this year and fit and firing and just, he's got eyes in the back of his head. I just can't believe some of the passes he rips off sometimes.
That's an interesting team that, you know, they've been able to keep together. And it's paid off. Like, they've had a good core of players over the last few years. They've all played together for many years now. They've kept Paul Millsap, Torrey Craig, Gary Harris. And it's paying off for them. You know, they had a bit of a sluggish start to the year, but, you know, I think that these guys will do well together. And I think Michael Porter Jr. is a fantastic scorer. I think he's a Clarkson-style player that can't play D to save his life. Back to Utah. I'm hoping what happens is they have their injuries now and they're strong in the playoffs, because every year they've just been decimated in the playoffs.
Yeah. And it just comes back to just like, and it's the Donovan Mitchell show.
Yeah, and it's just like we don't see team basketball. We just see, you know, Mitchell putting up 50 points a night and Conley getting down with an injury, and, you know, so that would be good to see that they got all that kind of stuff out of the way early.
So just to have a look at some of the stats, I think one of the episodes, not the last episode, but the one before, we were sort of saying Joe Ingles wasn't shooting the ball, the three ball especially well. I think he was down at around 31% at that time. But since then, in the last 10 games, shooting at 53% from the field and 53% from three in the last 10 games. Taking better ones and making them. And he's got that, watching him, he's got that spark where you're just like, oh, he's open, he's going to score this. Whereas he had gone through a real patch where I was sitting there just going, I don't expect him to make these. Like, you're watching it going, Joe, like, why are you missing that? Like, whoa.
I don't think he was game fit, man. I really don't. You look at those early games for the Jazz, I think he was really struggling with a really poor off-season, no real pre-games, and, you know, just a lack of all-round fitness. He's just not an athletic body, so he has to keep playing games. You see it with him. The more he plays, the better he gets. And it's always that deep run into the season where he starts to look really good, and then he has a lull. You know, usually when it's, like you say, it's like a Conley gets injured or someone gets injured and he's got to pick up the slack, and that's when the shooting lull comes. And then when everyone's back on board, he can kind of go back, okay, now I hit 3-pointers and I dish a little bit to Gobert, and that's, you know, I've got a pretty good game there. So
yeah, he's averaging 4.2 assists per game, which is good as well. So that's down a little bit from last year, on last year's totals, which makes a little bit more sense that he's shooting the ball a little bit better as well. So, which is good to see. The Jazz, I'm just going to look up their schedule. They're playing the Hawks tomorrow. So I think this run could go on a little bit longer. Just trying to, God, ESPN's a hard site to navigate. It's painful. So much just dead data with all the video stuff they throw at you. So they've got Atlanta, Charlotte, Indiana, Boston. That's solid. I think they could beat Indiana and Boston. Then the Bucks will be a test. Miami, Philly, LA. That's a bit of a murderer's row. Bit of a call on Miami. What about Miami this year? You're just like, and it's over. That was clearly a flash in the pan last year.
I think that they miss Jay Crowder at power forward as a regular season kind of guy. Tyler Hero's obviously just been in and out of injury and, you know, COVID protocols. I think he has COVID at the moment. Jimmy Butler, he lost 12 kilos in a week, 12 pounds in a week, just came out looking like skinny Jimmy.
Damn.
And then dropped 30 points.
Harden styles.
They haven't.
It's like a reverse Harden. Harden gets fat and drops 40, and then Jimmy gets skinny and drops 40.
They just haven't had a team. Like, you've just seen them. Everyone's in and out of COVID protocols. They haven't been consistent. I do think that, you know, it's about quarter way through the season now. I think they'll get back in it. But
I think they'll get back to about 500, and then that's going to be it. I really do think that run they went on last year was a bit of a outlier. And it took a lot out of them. Not necessarily saying, you know, they aren't that level, but I think it just took a lot out of them. And that Jimmy injury kind of, they struggled. And Bam's been good, but it's kind of been less of Bam is getting his points as well as the team is functioning. Like, it feels a little bit, Bam's got to do a lot here. You're all right to just, 14 shots a night, Bam? A few more than that?
So much Kelly Olynyk. Too much 7-foot Amish.
Kelly Olynyk gold. So yeah, a little bit of Murderers Row, and then the Jazz can sort of like chill out with Charlotte, Los Angeles, Miami, Orlando, back to kind of the other team, well, except Los Angeles, but the Lakers. So I think this run might go on a little bit further until that 4-game stretch. So it'll be very interesting to see how Jingling Joe's going. But yeah, the biggest thing is I've enjoyed watching them more. I'm just no longer going, Rudy, why are you out there? Conley, like use him, use the screen. Like, what are you doing? And then Joe, like, the biggest one was like watching Joe Ingles shoot and just not trusting it. You know, now like you're watching it and just going, and he's knocking it down and he knocks it down. Whereas before I was like, Joe, like, why are you not hitting these? Like, these are wide open and this is like right in your spot. What the hell's going on? So that's pretty good. Joe Ingles, he did break another record too that I don't think we mentioned, which was the longest active streak.
Yes, I think we did mention that he ended that, and
and then two games later it was just like, and I'm out. I got the record. Sweet. I got a sore wrist. I'm having a couple of games off.
All right, let's move on to this Josh Green just travesty at the Mavericks. Look, to me, I am completely off the Luka Doncic bandwagon. He's an excellent individual player, but he's a terrible team player. Terrible. And he just whinges now.
Yeah, that's hard to watch. So much whinging.
Like, why?
It was a little bit last year, like lost in the whole. I think there was a lot of whinging last year, like in the bubble, sort of the back end of before the lockdown. I think there was a lot of like whinging everywhere that masked it. Whereas I think this year it just is gone over the top, man. It's like Mount Vesuvius, like every play. And now he's even like the play breaks down because he's standing there whinging, and he's just like, bro, dude, come on, like get up the court and let's just play, all right?
That team is just horrible.
It's tough. It's tough, man. I like watching it.
No,
like I like it, and I wanna like it, but there's so much watching of that and just going, God, like what is up with this spacing? And like, wow, like Luka's got to dance around like 6 guys who are just like traffic cones, and then he just faded like a fadeaway, and you're just like, wow, that was a tough shot for like holding the ball for 20 seconds. Like, all right,
it's just as well as that. He's shooting the ball really badly.
But taking bad ones, like those pull-ups, man, are just like that. That's the sign of a player that once those pull-ups and the long-range bombs just stop going down, instead of stopping taking it and finding something else, like he just keeps taking them. It's a little bit like that. It's a little bit like that with Damian Lillard sometimes, where you're just like, that's not a good shot, man. Like, okay, it's going in for a little bit. 2 out of 6 are going in, but it's not a good shot, man. And Luka takes them awful, like just long-range pull-up, just bombs, and you're just like, wow. Like, imagine being on offense, having to stand around for like 8 seconds and then watch him throw up this bomb. But just on Josh Green, so he had a little extended run in the lineup.
They were all injured when Kristaps was injured, Kleber was injured, Richardson was injured, and he was he was starting at power forward. I was like, he's 6'5". Like he's a 2-wing. He's like a 2-3 wing combo guard that doesn't really have handles yet and can kind of slash and put the ball on the floor and get to the cup or maybe shoot a 3. Like it just reminded me of the Dengadell situation. Like you will stand in this corner and you will shoot sometimes. And he's a pretty good on ball defender as well, because he's got quite good wingspan. He's quite athletic, but that's just not the team for nurturing anything but like a Luka-centric environment. It's just it's just not.
I can't put my finger on it. I really can't understand what it is.
I think because like you're like, oh, the Mavs are going to be up there and they're going to, He's just like, no, like the other teams, and it's Rick Carlisle as well. Rick Carlisle's a terrible coach, and I've said this from the beginning. I just don't rate him as a coach at all.
He's a good coach, but
he's not a good coach. He's a good coach when he's got like a ragtag bunch of guys and he's got to put something together.
That's a low key type team,
Yeah, like a low key, like because you look at his Dirk was a low key kind of player. He wasn't really like a superstar. He was a superstar and he was an amazing player, but he wasn't like, I do everything. He was just like, I get to my spot. He's like the Tim Duncan of Dallas, right? I get to my spot, I do my things. Whereas Luka's like sometimes you can just see, man, you just stat padding, like literally, like get out of my own rebounding. It's just like you didn't need to take that rebound. It'd actually be better for the offense if you were already halfway up the court, able to see and vision and get people in the right positions. But it's just like, I'm going to take this rebound, and then the play breaks down. You're like, well, this isn't really smart.
Yeah, it's like they're building another Dirk scenario.
Yeah,
You know,
I
like
just
the way we saw like one championship, I think two or three finals and one championship for Dallas under that Dirk system, where it basically was just like it all revolves around one guy. We just squeeze the absolute shit out of this guy for what he's worth, and it kind of feels the same with Luka. Does that feel the same to you? Where it's just like squeeze the shit out of him, you know, and like every single thing you can get out of him on every night is what we're getting. You know, it's not like, okay, we got Luka, we'll build, we got here, we got this guy here and there, we're going to add, like Josh Richardson's come in and it's all right. It doesn't, like, I feel like the spacing kind of is a bit messed up with, he can't shoot the ball that well, you know, it's not like the Curry spacing. I think that element's missing as well.
He kind of did that in Philly as well. It's kind of weird because he's a good player, Josh Richardson. He can drop 30 on any night and can have some mid range, but he just gets into everyone's way. He's kind of like a superstar, but not really in terms of what he wants. He'd be a really good sixth man somewhere, and like taking that Lou Williams role to come out and run a second unit as like a PG or a two guard that's heavily ball dominant. But in that Mavs lineup, it's just like you switched out. You traded wrong there.
He's kind of like discount Caldwell Pope.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the wrong, like it's not the wrong trade because there's some slight upside on defense with Luka. He's kind of fit well, but on offense, it's like Luka needs the spacing, man.
Yeah,
and then here we are again back to talking just about, come on, man, Luka needs this and that, and Luka needs this, and it's so easy to just get drawn back into he's the superstar, he needs this team fixed, etc., etc. Whereas
if you're going to build a team around it, build it with the right players.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know, like superstar, you know, what do you pair with him really? I still think it's just Luka and shooters, basically.
I think Luka and shooters, but I would have put a Capella style center in. Like you just don't have an effective center.
Yeah, Porzingis has struggled a little bit.
He's more of a kind of stretch four. It's like that over. He's like the Dirk, right? He's the guy that should be getting into his spots and shooting the ball because he's 7'3", no one can block him, and that's what his role should be. Let's get 18 to 20. Let's get you 10 to 12 shots a night. You know, get up 16 to 20 points. But then there's no rim protection. There's no like, all right, how do we shut down this center? Because Kristaps really defensively is not that great. So how do we shut down like an Anthony Davis? How do we shut down a Gobert? How do we shut down a Capella? You can't, because
defensively he's just it's trying, and there's no explosiveness.
No, Kleber and Powell are not.
Yeah, have a look at this. All right, so it's Doncic with Josh Richardson, Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith's in this team as well. Maxi Kleber. I like Maxi Kleber, but defensively, like you're always gonna like lose a little bit for what he gives you as a stretch 4-5-ish. Then Jalen, like have a look at like that as a chunk of players where you're just like, wow, sift through that as a messy like group of players. Then have a look at this: Brunson, Trey Burke, James Johnson, Powell, Willie Cauley-Stein's on this team. Like you forget about that, and he's playing 18 minutes a game. And then, you know, Josh Green, Marjanovic, like how much is that? Just like a bunch of players where you're just like, Jesus, like the bargain bin of like, it's a Lego bin with just like 16 different pieces where you're just like, none of this fits together. Like, what the fuck is this?
Like, he doesn't use Boban correctly as well, which is hilariously annoying.
You love the fucking anyone over 7'4" you're in love with.
Yeah, man. I think, well, firstly, like, would you not put Boban back to Detroit instead of bloody Plumlee? It's just like, whatever. Anyway.
I would get rid of Boban. And I would also get rid of Cauley-Stein and Dwight Powell.
Yeah, I'd get rid of all of them as well, if you want to win.
But really. That kind of goes to my point that I was trying to make before, is that like the pieces around Luka, that like they're all like just, you know, op shop level pieces. You know, we're not even talking about, could be a solid rotational piece. Like, like this guy kind of fits and is a good player and he'll grow into a good player. Like all of these guys are just like op shop. But we know they're op shop and they're on this team, you know?
during your rebuild, you have to rebuild. Like, you have to draft sensibly. You have to get some good guys. You have to get lucky. I mean, Philly got really lucky with Shake Milton. Like, really lucky. They got really lucky with Matisse Thybulle as well. And they've gotten lucky with Tyrese Maxey. I mean, you could say it's good drafting and smart scouting, but they got pretty lucky.
And then if you look at Luka, it's like Dallas got really lucky with Luka, and then it's like Cuban on the 7th day he rested, and that's it. Like, it's like you haven't. Like, but you got to keep building. Like cubes. What are you doing? You got to keep building this team.
I think he's just like, well, Luka will be here for 20 years, so
we'll just put some pieces. I feel like that was the same as with Dirk as well. It's like, we'll just get this guy, Jason Kidd, get a couple of guys here and there, and it's like, it only ended up in one championship.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel like this Luka thing's going to go.
Yeah, so do I. There's potentially a fluke run in there somewhere, but they've got to get some good pieces involved in. They've got to attract a big name, which they've never really been able to do, have they?
Nah, it's kind of they've built all their stars from what those players are and how they sort of branch out in the league. Like, really, I don't know, maybe Luka's probably one of their biggest star, like quote unquote stars they've ever had in terms of how much hype he's had over the last couple of years. Like, I don't remember Dirk really having this much hype. Like, everyone knew Dirk was a mad player. But even in that season they won the championship, no one was going like, Dirk Nowitzki's going to take this team to a championship because he's a superstar. Like, they were saying he's a mad player, and that's why this team's awesome.
Yeah,
like Jason Terrier was on that team.
But this is the era, the basketball era of fame. Like, everyone's superstars. Like, oh, wow, this dude's like a superstar. Like Trae Young.
Yeah, front end loading superstars, man. This is my theory. It's like, the more hype you have, the more front end loaded your superstardom is, and the more like it's like a sugar hit. It's like you're eating cookies, and then you're just like, where's the substance? Like, there's no substance here.
McDonald's. It's good for 10 minutes.
Yeah. And then you want to go back. You want to go and eat some more McDonald's. Yeah, and man, it hurts. I got to watch them the next couple of games against the Warriors, and they'll probably just rip off 2 massive wins against the Warriors, and I'll be sitting here just going, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
All right, let's move on to the next topic.
Moving on to Philly. A nice feel-good story brewing there. They look, man, title contenders. We already did our overreaction, but I really think if Embiid can stay fit and stay in this frame that he's been in, I think he's MVP candidate, man. He's been playing phenomenally well.
It's funny. I think he's got a different mindset. And I think it was interesting listening last year. Just like, he felt like he could do it all. And I think he was doing too much. But you watch him and Simmons play now, and it's a completely different game. You watch the pin down he sets for Simmons around the curl. So then 3 guys kind of contract, and then it's Danny Green and Seth Curry on the perimeter. I mean, Danny Green's been a really good pickup. Like, just for not and defended. Like, this team is just perfectly balanced, right? You've got your 2 superstars, you've got your non-ball dominant, and let's say Tobias Harris has earned his max contract this year. Really, when you think about it, he's putting 20 points a night up plus. He's hitting game winners. He's defending really well. He's getting into the mid-range where no one else operates. What more do you want from him? Like, if he was on a Dallas team, or if he was on Atlanta doing those numbers night in, night out, he'd be a superstar. He's.
I think like people get sucked in to acting like these players need to be the main part of a team. You know what I mean? And that Philly team has got Embiid, which is the main, quote unquote, main part of the team. But then you look at someone like Harris, and people get upset because it's just like, well, he should be like mad as well. And you're like, well, no, sometimes players need to just fit into a team, and you look at the contract, you look at the pedigree, you look at who the player is and what the expectations are. And sometimes you've just got to go, yeah, that's the guy that fits, man. Like, he's got to fit into the team and fit the team. Like, who gives a shit what contract he's on? How much he's being paid? Like, what kind of role he has? Like, the role has to fit the team. And I feel like that now this season is a part of what Philly has and what they're building. As opposed to the last season, it felt like under Brett Brown, it was always feeling like all of these guys are all competing for like the affection of the mother or something like that. Always felt like that everyone was trying too hard, wanting to be that main role. And that's kind of was Tobias Harris's downfall, was that he couldn't fit into a team like that.
Yeah, I mean, you've essentially only got 3 players right now. You've got Embiid, who plays in the key. You got Simmons who tries to get to the key, and Harris has been hitting the 3-point very well. And I think it was funny because I like Doris Burke and she says a lot of right things. Just like he just put the ball on the floor too much.
Yeah.
Last year, just everything was putting the ball on the floor and I'm going to do something. Whereas this year is like, no, you just shoot it. If you miss, you run back and you shoot it again. And you'll hit them because you'll be in a rhythm. And that's what Simmons is for. Simmons hits you in rhythm. That's all it is. Like I despair at people that go like, oh, Simmons is having a terrible year. He's only averaging 13 points. He's like down on assists, down on things. Like, yeah, but who gives a fuck? They're winning.
Yeah. And he is a classic. Ben Simmons is a classic. Just I don't give a shit what my numbers are. Like as long as we win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And defensively, just ridiculous. When him and Matisse Thybulle on the floor, it's hilarious how much they just lock teams out. It's just like, oh, okay, you haven't scored a point in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
he's so good defensively now, man. It's I don't. Sometimes I talk to people and I'm just like, he is so good, and they're like, what? What are you talking about? He's not that great defensively. I'm like, oh my god, have you watched him? Like the amount of times like guards like don't even have the room to move because he's just like all over them, man. Like just all over him, and the amount of like pokeaways he gets and shit, like it's nuts.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Like you're just watching it going, man, I feel like anxious for the player with the ball because you know he's just going to be like, and just take it away. It's nuts.
That steal on Jaylen Brown in the Celtics game going back was just, 4 minutes to go, Boston starting to hit some shots and boop.
Huge cojones too, man, to do that.
Yeah, just, it's crazy. It's crazy that people don't recognize that he's the LeBron James in a sense that he makes his teammates better. He makes the team better by being on the floor. And so durable. Like just 40 minutes a night. Yeah, no problem. I'm just going to run 40 minutes a night. Never tired.
Yeah.
And wins games based on defense, which I've never seen another player do. I don't know if you've seen any Warriors over the years. I've never seen Jazz.
Clay's probably the closest to him that I've seen. But obviously Clay can shoot the ball. But defensively, you'd always just be like, that guy's hot, Clay. Bring him up, Clay. You're on that guy. And then it was just like, and they just locked him down for 3 minutes. I remember that Aussie game, Aussie in the Olympics when Australia played the USA. Like it was a tight game until the last 4 minutes, and then they basically just went, Clay, get on Patty Mills, and Patty Mills I think like 1 for 6 with Clay on him, and it was just like, and that's what he's in the team for, like because he wasn't shooting the ball. I remember he had trouble with those fever balls that were a bit weirder. And then they're just like, bring him out, put him on Patty. And it was like, shut Patty down. But that's the same way I feel about Simmons, man. I'm just like, Simmons, you're on this guy. Shut him down. Yeah. Every time just shuts him down. I don't even care how well or how badly he's shooting the ball. I'm just looking at the stats here. He's averaging 13.4 points. And Seth Curry's averaging 13 points. And Ben Simmons doesn't even shoot threes.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's just like, and, that's gone up the last couple of games as well. I think when he's got into his rhythm and he's moving through, but just it's the change in shots. It's the fact that when him and Matisse Thybulle get on the floor, it's hilarious. It's just like, Ben, you're on that guy and you're on number 2, and we're going to see if the center can shoot threes. it's who else can shoot in this team? No one. All right, the game's over.
Yeah,
just that game against Indiana when they went to the zone, just like, okay, Matisse Thybulle and Ben Simmons, you're just going to play up the top and harass everyone. And they were down 20 points, and then they won by 7. It was just like, this is ridiculous. And that's no Embiid. And I think that, to me, is the game where everyone's just like, okay, now they're a championship contender. If they can do this to a decent team, because the Pacers are a decent team, with no Embiid, it's on.
I think, so you reckon they're a chance to win the championship?
I think if Embiid stays healthy, he's playing back-to-backs. They're winning back-to-backs, which they never did, ever. They're winning away from home. If he stays healthy and they just keep on this bandwagon, keep, Doc.
There's such a feel-good. Let's talk about Doc. There's just such a feel-good, carefree, just like, we don't have to worry about the coach anymore. Sweet.
Yeah, it's just like, this guy's, okay, now I'm gonna change this, and it's gonna work because you guys are gonna do this. And you know what? It happens. It's not like Brett Brown, who's just like
Shake Milton starting a point guard.
It's just
that was weird in the bubble, man.
The weird one was just like, okay, I signed Al Horford. We're just going to go down with him. It's just like, take him off the floor. Like, what are you doing?
Take him out.
No, he has to. We paid him. He has to play. I'm just like, he doesn't fit. Like, just take him off. Play him in stretches. nah, he's got to start at 4. It's just like he just. I think he became too big for his own good.
Yeah.
He became too like, this is my thing, instead of just being like, okay, we need to change the spacing a little bit, even though he
was like painted into a corner type of thing.
Yeah, it was just weird.
With the way he'd built that team. I mean, he had a little stint as GM before Elton Brand came in. And then, so Elton Brand's still there as the GM, quote unquote.
I think he's just.
And then Daryl Morey's head of basketball operations.
I think Daryl Morey's just really like, Elton, you just stay over there and I'll do everything. And Elton's like, yeah, sweet paycheck.
Daryl Morey's just like, here's 3 moves. You go there, and you go there. Yeah. And it's like, it all works now. Sweet. Yeah, like, that wasn't hard.
He tried to trade Simmons for Harden, which to me was strange.
Yeah, that's fuck Daryl Morey for that. But
there's room. It's just, why are you going for a score? Why? You're 16-6. Like, you were taking.
But still, I'm glad that didn't happen, because you know, I love Simmons and I love the fact that there's a chance you could win that championship on Philly. But now, like, kind of left a little bit of a like, fucking hell, man. Now imagine what Simmons is feeling now. But I think if he had any other personality other than the one he has, where it's just like, I don't give a shit as long as we win, you know, I'm here to win. That, like, you can tell it hasn't affected him really.
Yeah.
Like, I was sitting there going, ooh, wonder what's going to happen here, man. I wonder how he's taking this. Like, if it was me, I'd be like, fuck you, Daryl Morey. Like, how dare you try and trade me? You know, but he seems to have just kind of breezed through it, which is good.
It would have been weird on that Houston team, though. Just completely, like...
Just quietly, I think they're like 7-0 or something at the moment. They just ripped off all these wins. What the hell?
I think that would have been a decent team, to be honest, with Simmons. Oladipo, Wood.
Yeah, damn, that's a lot of grinders, eh?
Yeah, Jayshawn Tate, you know, just a bit of depth. DeMarcus Cousins, like, you got the whole
DC.
DC dropped 30 the other night. Jesus.
Yeah, he carved it up. Who was that against? Wizards, I think it was. Nah, he got ejected against the Wizards. So Matisse Thybulle, we're gonna talk about him a little bit tomorrow night, or whenever we come up with that Aussie Boomers podcast. He will, spoiler alert, be drafted in as an honorary, or was an honorary Aussie. He will now be. His citizenship ceremony has been concluded, and he's now an Aussie.
So yes, we go wherever he does now. He is now officially an Aussie playing for Australia in the Olympics.
I read somewhere actually in the international squad that you're only allowed one, like, opt-in, like somebody who's nationalized.
He's technically not an opt-in. I think he's an Australian citizen.
I don't know. I heard that he was an opt-in. I'm not 100% sure, but I think there was some, like, friction between him and Bryce Cotton, whether they were going to nationalize Bryce Cotton and put him in this Aussie team, or it was Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah, well, Bryce Cotton would only be an opt-in if he's not a citizen. But I think Matisse Thybulle's a citizen. I could be wrong though. We'll have to research that and check that up. But yeah, as long as when Bryce Cotton hasn't become an Australian yet, so once he becomes an Australian,
I think he's like submitted the papers. He just hasn't.
Yeah. Well, then if he's not an Aussie citizen, then he's an opt-in, which, you know, you can't. You won't really, and you don't need to do in this squad. Like, look at. We'll go over this on the specific pod, but just look at that squad. That squad, to me, can beat America.
I don't know. I'm not going, it can beat America. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sitting here going, you know what, they're going to beat America. Like, I'm sitting here going, you know what, that squad can beat. And if I watched a game where they did win, I'd be like, yeah, sweet. That's a good team that beat America. Sweet.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not sitting there going, like, that's a better team than America. Like, we got a real chance to beat them, you know.
It's not a better team, but it's a team that could. In FIBA. FIBA's a different game.
But that was so bad, the US at that World Cup.
That was the dregs of US, trust me.
And then Kerr and Popovich thing, man.
It's just like,
that was like really exposed.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Well, how about, like, we're gonna go on to Spurs now, but how about Popovich, man? He's just fucking old man White Walker get up that he's rocking at the moment. It's fucking
just the hair just like.
Yeah, like, it's like slicked back and shit. Like, he just looks like old man Grandpa Torino in Gran Torino. It's just weird. But still, they're just, you know, risen from the dead. The Spurs
will be Spurs.
I know, they just keep on going. Patty Mills, man, what a season he's having again.
he's peaking just before at the right time. He's got to come and peak at the Olympics. So I think the problem with Paddy last Olympics and in the Australian team is he really never had much help except for Bainesy. But from a scoring perspective, when you put Bogut and Dellavedova on the floor, it's like, what else do you get? This time he's going to have a lot more help and he's going to have a lot more court vision.
He's going to have like some wrinkles to use. I think that's the best way to describe it. Like he's going to actually have some tools in there that he can use rather than it was a lot of just Paddy, dial something up. Like Paddy, like shoot off the dribble. Paddy, ISO. Paddy on a twirl, come around the corner. Paddy, Paddy again. Like it was just nonstop because that team was lacking scoring. That World Cup team. It was a very, very grafty team, and a lot of the graft was very like we're just happy to be here, boys. Like, I don't need to score. Like, I'm Nick Kay. I don't need to score. I'm Mitch Creek. I can score a couple if you want me to, but like a lot of it just deferred to Paddy. I think this year he's going to be like a floor spacer and a shooter. And Delhi's in the squad, isn't he?
He's in the squad, but
but I don't know. I don't think he's played this season at all.
No, he's not played this season. Look, you probably take him along for the experience, but you would have to defer to Simmons and
I'm very interested to see Paddy and Simmons, especially if Paddy can space the floor for Simmons and Tybal.
That's a next level.
Yeah, but we'll go through that tomorrow night. So Paddy on the Spurs, they're just quietly. I closed the standings, so I have to open that back up real quick. They are 11 and 12 and 10.
12 and 10.
Is currently sitting in the 8th seed. They're looking like just sneaky decent. DeRozan's been decent this season. It's always going to have that production line, the Spurs kind of production line scoring. Yeah,
and DeRozan has been good and good facilitating as well. Lonnie Walker's been good. Devin Vassell was a really high about. Kind of looks like he's been a little bit sheltered by the pop.
He looks more like it's got a little bit of the Wiseman effect where it's just like you come here, you play in this system, and it's like, but it's my first year, and like I want to just break out, I want to just have a party in the NBA, and it's like no, your first year, you do this, rook type of thing. Like I get that feeling, same feeling with Wiseman as well, where they're just like, bring him along in a sheltered way rather than just being like, let loose, do whatever you want type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not the team. It's probably not the team to do it. If you're at a Hornets, just like LaMelo, do things, and he's just like,
just have a party, son. And I don't think like both of those two, in Wiseman and Devin Vassell, are both. Hey, a couple of years, like or you just get your kinks out learning these systems. In a couple of years, you'll be in a much better position than some of these other guys, especially Anthony Edwards. Like, he actually had a pretty big dunk over Wiseman the other night. But watching him, it's so just like, guys, I'm just gonna score. Yeah, okay, yep, sweet. It's just weird watching some of these other guys.
Team is just turgent.
It's terrible. It's so hard to watch.
It's like there's not another. Even the Cavs are more interesting to watch.
I'm so glad that nobody got drafted. Like Josh Green didn't get drafted there or something like that.
Jesus Christ.
This Spurs team, just looking down, Paddy 13.8. I think that's his highest scoring per game so far in his career, I believe. Let me just go back to that. Way to go. Yes. So, that's his most. He's on pace. Yeah, if he finishes the season with 13.8 points per game, that'll be his best season. Shooting the ball at 40.8% as well. Solid. Nice. 93% from the free throw line as well. Getting to the line a little bit more, tiny little bit more. 2.7 assists per game, so he's doing a little bit more. I think this team, Murray's been playing. He had that little ankle sprain, Murray, but he bounced back from that pretty quick. And he's a strange player, like another like stickman type guard, but can't really pass that well and can't run pick and roll that well. I mean, you got like LaMarcus Aldridge and Rudy Gay and guys like that, and Jakob Poeltl, where minuses on pick and roll coverage and offense. But I'm not sure what to make of him. He doesn't do one thing really well on offense.
He's kind of like a bit of a combo Josh Richardson style guard where you're like, we throw money at you, well, we kind of have to,
Well,
because then they did throw money at him. That's what I'm saying. Like, we have to because you're kind of in the system and you're going to get paid in the system, and we need you to fit this system, and you kind of do fit this system. But what we really need is someone just to ball out at the PG position. But
oh no, they need like a system point guard, really. Like I think that's why Patty Mills is always having such a good effect on that team, is because he's been in that system for 8 years. He knows it like the back of his hand, and it suits his game too. Like that's how he plays. He's a pass first, unselfish. Looks for a pass point guard. Whereas Murray, I don't know. Murray feels to me like he's like, I want to score the ball. Like it feels a bit like Donovan Mitchell, but without the athleticism and without the power and explosiveness.
Yeah,
it's just a bit, And then LaMarcus only averaging 14 points per game.
Yes, he's a star of yesteryear. Definitely, his star is starting to fade quite dramatically.
I feel like they're slowly, like the Titanic, just starting to move away from it, which is good because I think that over the next couple of years they're going to have to.
3 years ago, and it's to LaMarcus in the post, and he's put up 50 off 50 shots tonight in the post.
That was the Marcus Aldridge post buffet. That was like 2 years ago where we're just like, Jesus Christ, what is his post usage? It's like 70%. This is nuts. Absolutely nuts. But yeah, Patty just continues along. I think there's going to be a theme of this season, just be like, and checking in on Patty, and yes, he's still hot and still playing really well. And we're checking in on Patty again, and yes, he's hot and still playing well. So yeah, we'll move past the Patty Mills man to Big Balls Bainesy. What do you got? I can't watch the Raptors, man. I can't watch it. It's unwatchable for me.
Yeah, not really a fan of Nick Nurse's coaching. I'm a fan of his coaching style. I'm not a fan of the team he's put together this year.
I'm a fan of him as a coach. Like he's a good coach, but it's kind of all like you're always at the whim of the coach is the sum of the parts that he's got, and some of those parts there, I'm like, I don't want to watch this. You're not bad, you're not terrible. But
you know what it is? It's inconsistent stardom. It's just like, and Kyle Lowry's dropped 40 points. It's just like, but you scored under 10 for like the last 7 games. How did you drop 40?
Yeah.
Or Fred VanVleet's like 9, 8, 9, 55. You're like, why? Why are you doing this?
This doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. That's kind of what it is. And it's just like, and we're not using Baines. And we have to use Baines because Powell's usage has gone down and he's not shooting the ball well. And we're back to not using Baines. And Baines is just going to stand there. He's just like, play the center. Play him for what he is. And that's what I get frustrated with. It's just like there's not enough like slinking Baines out to the corner and being like twinkle toes. There's just too much of, and Lowry's chucking a bombs and he's flopping, and VanVleet's chucking a bombs and he's flopping.
The flopping just makes it hard to watch. He is a career 30 Bainesy. This is a career 31.1% 3-point shooter, shooting the 3-ball this year at 22.2%.
It's been bad.
That's not good. That is not good. And what we saw at the Suns, I'm just going to bring up his Suns, because what we saw at the Suns was totally different. Yeah, it was like, oh, look, everyone's going after Booker, and like Baines is just wide open. Here you go, Baines, you just drop this in. He was shooting the 3 at 35% last year, and that was his career high as well. Up from 25% in 14-15 and 14.3% in 17-18.
Yeah, he's definitely, mate. I think it was just all off the back of that World Cup.
That just sparked him into action. Was that Philly series, wasn't it? The Philly series where he hit like 12 of 21 and it was like 60%, and everyone was like, "What the fuck is this?" So yeah, I don't know. I was still at the start of the season just a little bit like, man, I would not be paying Bainesy that much as I love him. And I'm not sure how well he's going to play in this team. Like, I still don't feel like I'm going to come into a team and have an impact. Like, I feel like Baines is like, I need to find my system team and fit the system team.
God, he'd go well. He'd go well back at Spurs. They should have a Spurs reunion. Go back to Spurs.
So yeah, we'll keep an eye on him over the next couple of months because
I remember this footage. I'll see if I can get it up on the Atomba Facebook page. He's just absolutely drunk as a skunk, and Tim Duncan's carrying him out of like a pub.
Was this when they won the championship?
I think so. It's hilarious.
Put it up on the page.
He's got no beard. He's just like, oh, guys, how you going? And Tim Duncan's just like holding him up.
Timmy D. All right, so I think that'll do. We'll be back to do a Boomers look at that squad and the wrap and kind of what we think this Boomers team could do. When's the Olympics rescheduled for?
Oh, it's July, but yeah, we don't know exactly what's going to happen yet. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
So yeah, we'll be back to do that. But as always, you can like, share, and subscribe. We're on Spotify, Twitter, YouTube, Podcast Addict, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud. Hit the rating and review if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts. 5-star review. That'd be nice for us. Get us out there. Get us out to more ears. And we'll catch you